Morning. Today is Tuesday, February the 3rd, 2026. This is going to be my next weekly video review. And I'm going to try to make this not to take too long. We'll see. Okay, so first things first, novel work. I have finished the first draft. The last two sections are mostly very bare bone outline, if I'm being honest, because those are really reliant on getting the actual writing style and the way that the other sections will flow and the characters' actual way that they speak down. If I can get those down, then the other sections, they rely on that. But water section, the actual flow, the outline, the story kind of that I want to do, it's been kind of fleshed out, but it's just like an outline. It's missing pretty much everything. Um, the big problem will be executing it and getting it to actually sound good, I guess. Other than that, just been reading, doing stuff like that. Um, I'm hoping to try to power through Moby Dick. I'm gonna focus on that book instead of reading two. And the reason being is because I want to get through that one, and then I want to start going through the Magic Mountain. Moby Dick has some parts that are good, but then it has some parts that I just think are like, I'm like, why, dude? You know, a lot of stuff I think it could probably get revision and removed and still hold the same meaning and the same goal, but just make it a lot. It doesn't need to be 600 pages long, right? So far, you probably have about 200 pages of good stuff on there that that actually contributes to the story. Um, but then again, it's a classic, so I don't know. Maybe there's some other stuff in there that I'm missing. Um, the Magic Mountain I'm gonna put on hold. Like I said, if I can focus and do like 50 pages a day on Moby Dick, I should be able to get done with it in about a week, maybe 2 weeks at the latest. And then I have other books I want to read. For example, I got Don Quixote de la Mancha in Spanish, and honestly, I need to practice my Spanish. It's terrible. It's it's very bad. So it's one of those things that I can speak it very well, and I can speak it at a high level, right? To where people will be like, okay, he's a native speaker, blah blah blah, but not at a level that I would consider like college level, academia level, or anything that's professional or very high level, right? And you know you never know what life is gonna bring, what might happen. It's always good to be prepared for anything, and having more tools in my bag will help that. Okay. Other than that, just been just doing everything. Been getting kind of lazy because it's been cold, so haven't worked out too much recently. But I need to change that because I need to work out. I can feel it on my energies and all that stuff as well, and I don't know. It's good for me. It's good for my mind. Anyway, other than that, um, not too much. Um, just decided. Oh, one big thing. I just decided to be more. Okay, so I've always like recently I've been having issues where I was starting to become very hateful and very bitter to certain people and certain whatever. They never did nothing to me, and it would just be something that it would be like I knew came from within, right? That I had inner turmoil that will keep on popping up, and it's like once or twice you're like, okay, cool, right? But then I started to see a pattern. I started to see things that kept on happening, and you're like, okay, there's something deeper going on. So I've recently taken a big leap, right, in in just me as a person as well. And nothing is gonna change about my values, about my beliefs, about what I want. But I am being I'm not trying to be as dogmatic as I was before, right? That's the biggest thing, right? The same goals out of life I still want. The same thing, I still want to be good to people. I still want to do the same thing. And like I said, I'm still me, but I decided that something had to be done with the constant inner uh, battle that I was having inside of me, right? So I still I'm still basically the same person, but I just became, what's the right word? I guess I just became a little bit more, I don't know, accepting, open, I don't know, to different things. That is just to say that now, well, it's kind of always been that, but been a little bit on edge recently, right? And the biggest thing is that I like people for who they are, right? That's just it. That's the best way to put it, right? I will like one person because of one thing, but I won't. Maybe I won't find the same quality on somebody else and stuff like that. So I just like people because of who they are, and I just want to go forward and not, you know, should I just go through life and start actually talking to people like that and just being better, you know, and I feel like my mind just cleared up about a bunch, right? I feel a lot better, right? A lot of the demons that I was fighting, right, they're kind of gone, right? And it feels like it's a good step forward for me, right? And like I said, I'm still the same person, I'm still me, but now it's just I don't know. I don't want to make some my humor's kind of vast. I don't want to make some jokes and then all of a sudden yeah, whatever. Anyway, yeah, it's still the same thing, right? It's like I don't know. I don't really it's just life, I guess. Anyway, moving forward with that, the final thing I wanted to bring up is um just in general, I wanted to read a piece of what I've been writing. It's not good, it's the first draft, but this is where I'm gonna start, and this is gonna change. More than likely, it's gonna fully change because it doesn't have any of the rhyming scheme. This is for the Earth Kingdom. I still have a lot of things I need to finalize. I need to figure out the names, and I need to figure out a bunch of stuff, right, to actually finish it. But this is just what I have as a first draft. It's gonna change. I'm gonna make it. Probably some parts are gonna get padded out, some parts are gonna get removed, and it's to make it more poetic because that's the way I want the character to be. I want it to be like reading something like a rhyme, poems, different stuff like that. So I need to look into stanzas and rhyming schemes and how to write poems and stuff like that. You know, not gonna like, yeah. So let me just go ahead and try to read this and see where I'm at. This is just the first paragraph. It's not. Um, it's not gonna be anything incredible, but it is a start. So here we go. I sit here and listen to this abysmal rain pitter-pattering on against the window pane. Rain, once a blessing, is now a constant reminder of a famine that has plagued my land. No matter how much water and seed we plant, nothing will hold on to the land. Our stockpiles have been depleted, preserved spoils, and of the vast food reserves nothing is left. It's ironic, really. Once we coveted the precious metals and jewels more highly than the bountiful harvest of our lands. All our coffers are full of them, but nobody would trade food with us. It seems that our arrogance has borne ill repute, and none of the kingdoms are willing to offer any help. We tried to conquer the floating islands to no avail. Our flying ships are no match to the might of the masters of the sky. It would be futile to try to invade the Fire Kingdom, as they do not consume anything we would remotely consider food. We requested several of their finest minds to try to solve the plague that blankets the land, but nothing that they tried had any effect on the overall state of desolation that permeated the motherland. In the last venture, we gambled on traveling deeper into the oceans than we have ever done so, and the results were as expected. We lost 80% of our naval fleet to the clutches of those slimy psychic bastards. If we were not in such desperate straits, we would have never even attempted to cross into their damned territory. But why did all the fish and aquatic animals just migrate away from our shores? It was not always like that before. We kept our distance from the insert water species derogatory nickname, but in recent centuries they have been more and more aggressive. But just what caused the change in their temperament when they used to avoid conflict? Talking about fauna, all the critters that used to graze on our pastures migrated far into the coldest reaches of the realm. We sent several expeditions to those frozen lands, but none of the parties ventured ever returned. We have never been a species attuned to the cold, but we have made every preparation possible by wearing more layers of clothes and setting up a supply route with kindling for fire. Still, the permafrosted wilderness is our nemesis, and many have fallen into a lull, serenaded by the cold, that eternal slumber brought upon by the numbing embrace of a winter song. Okay, so that's basically what I got, and as you can see, there's right off the bat, if I were to read this, I'll probably give it a, I don't know, 4 or 5 maybe, right? It's not nowhere near finished. So certain things that I don't like is repetition of words. Just because I like words, right? Like land, I keep on reusing land, and I don't like doing that, right? I know that you can use repetition of words to get a certain meaning of phrase, or image, or assign something to the word, right? A symbolism to it. But I'm not doing that here, so that's something that I need to modify and make better. Um, Other than that, like I said, pretty much all of this is gonna be gone, because I wanted to feel more like I want the characters to have their own writing style. I guess you can say their own uh, essence. Like you can instantly pick up on it and be like, oh, that's that character. That's a big thing for this story. And there's going through it and rereading it, right? There's certain things that I would modify, certain things that I would, you know, improve upon. But I don't want to make it too wordy and do that, right? Because I wanted to get like little snippets of the world, like the lava people. Like why don't they eat regular food, right? That's one thing. And then you'll find about it later on through other things or other stories or other spots. You'll find out more about it. Um, like the water, who are these psychic creatures? The air kingdom, right? The islands, the floating islands, who are they? And I want this to you get bits and pieces from each of the different characters, different point of views as well, right? One character might find things like primitive, right, and be like, oh, that's whatever. Well, another one will think it's ceremony, it's you know stuff like that, right? So depending on how their social norms are, you'll get different points of views. And the different kingdoms, well, most of them, right, they have they're very opinionated of everybody else, kind of like real life, right? That's just the way it is, right? And they think that other kingdoms are either backwaters in their own ways, or they just find themselves superior. Earth Kingdom, as you can see, they're the first and simplest ones. They will probably be the ones that kind of like follow the more regular route of what you would consider a medieval human kind of kingdom, right? Think of old school Spain or France, or something like that, right? Portugal, I don't know, something like that, like royalty and stuff like that. But yeah, I wanna and I'm gonna talk about this. It's interesting, right? A lot of these ideas are from actual different things that have been in my head. Like I've used some lines that I've actually used in some of my poetry or writing before. In this starting sentence, just a little bit different. They're actually not quite as they're not the same. And I've also had these ideas of, for example, a different writing of different characters. That's been something that has been on my mind for a very long time. But originally, I still have another idea for another thing I want to write. But that one is gonna be way more ambitious. Way, yeah, it's more ambitious than this. And if I can get this one down, if I can figure out how to do it here, then it will help me out a lot with the other stuff I want to do. Anyway, uh, next up, I'm gonna try to start basically taking what I wrote down, right, the outline, and then I'm gonna start. How would you say? Making it, exaggerating it. No, making it more descriptive, more verbose, more. What's the right word? I don't know. Um, I would say more poetic for this character, right? But basically, just going through and refining the actual things. Like I said, right now, this is pretty bad. It's not. I don't think it's that good, but it is a first draft. Um, And yeah, as I go through it, hopefully it'll get better. And yeah, other than that, it's pretty much, just want to leave on the fact that, yeah, it's like I'm still doing the same things. Life is still the same. It's just I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna change on a lot of the stuff, but I had to be, true about some things, right? And yeah, it's like, you're like, you start saying, you're like, man, I see this pattern, multiple times. Like, I keep on seeing this, right? Like, is this something that is, subconsciously on my head? Is this something that I've been, whatever? And yeah, I just, just accepted, I accepted some of my some of the feelings, right, that I have. And I'm like, okay, right, it's still like pretty much everything that I've said still stays the same, right? I still want the same things. I still still, I'm still basically the same person, right? Just added, the best way is I just expanded my pool of of what I like. I guess is the best way to say it. But other than that, it's still, yeah, everything else is that I've said is true. And yeah, yeah, just another week of growing and becoming better. Anyway, see, I'm gonna end it here. It's 16 minutes long. Yeah, that's good enough. I'll talk to y'all next week.